I don't smell too bad. Oops. Hi everybody. Welcome to Change Starts With Us, Ohio. Today we have Jerina Williams with us, the fiance of
Edward Brown.
Edward Brown. My memory's not the best, so it's not really that I'm special needs or something, but Jerina's going to get Edward Brown's mother on shortly.
I can put Edward on right now.
Okay, Edward's on. Edward's here as
second.
well. So we're going to have Edward on probably too. And it's kind of neat to be able to get some of these good folks on. She's talking to him right now, probably springing it on him.
I definitely am.
But remember, we stick together. Us prisoners stick together. So he will be on shortly. We're just waiting for her to spring it on him.
Waiting on GTO.
See, you just heard her voice. That was her. We're already live. Bring him here. This is really exciting, though, that we get
you have enough time. You're just doing 5 minutes.
and we'll get him on another time as well.
Yes. Come on.
Tell him too late. He's already on, technically.
Okay, I just need you to say hi to some people, okay? They're getting ready to do count soon.
Yeah.
I'm putting you on speaker.
Hi.
You're on speaker.
Hi, Edward.
Hello, how y'all doing? How you doing? You okay? I appreciate all the help you giving my fiance. Thank you very much.
Well, your fiance did a great job helping with Christmas cards today.
Oh, I'm sure she did. That's real good. I'm proud of you, honey.
Yeah. You know, I did my last 10 years at Marion.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Marion is something else. Because everybody has changed since you left.
Yeah, well, Marion's totally different from when I left. It's a messed up camp.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to say what I really think. You know, it's inappropriate. But we're gonna your fiance is going to share a little bit about your situation. Nothing bad though.
Okay, I mean,
Okay, honey, I'm going to talk to you after count, and I'm going to get your mom on the phone in a few.
All right, well, I love you then.
Okay, love you too. Talk to you soon.
You hear
Bye.
you hear that lovey-dovey
Sorry.
stuff. That's why I don't date, because then I don't have to use that word all that time. You're going to try to get your his mother on shortly.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a brief summary of Edward? I know a little bit about it, but of course I forgot, I think.
Eddie caught his case just a few months after he turned 18 years old. He caught it was aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and then later down the line, he caught an assault charge.
How long has he been locked up?
He's been 30 years.
30 years. He had probably 15 years or 20 years more than what he should have done.
And more than a lot of guys are doing now.
Right. Did he commit the crimes?
He did.
Okay.
He was young and dumb, and he was running with the wrong people and looking up to the wrong people. And he just didn't have a good influences around him at all. He was into a lot of gang activity. He's just a totally different person. He's took so many classes, and I don't know who that Eddie is. I can't honestly explain him because I don't know that guy. That was 18-year-old Eddie.
Right. And the thing is, he has to see the pro board, I take it. Yeah,
He went to
he
see
does.
the pro board September 3rd of this year.
And the pro board just added a 13th member. When I got out in January 24, 2010, they had 6 members.
Yeah.
They really advanced. They're over $1 million payroll. Now it's like $1.5 million payroll. Each pro board member makes over $100,000. And, and they make that much money not to parole people. You know,
Yeah, I feel like it's job security.
well, they would
On
still have the
top of-
job because they have clemency, they have the death sentence. Knowing we're opposed to the death penalty as well, but they have all those other areas that they can spend their time and energy on.
Yeah.
You know, instead they want to keep people locked up and costing the state over $100 million.
Right.
You know, keeping these people up. The older you get, more health problems you get. When does he go back to the pro board?
He went September 3rd. They said they'd tell him something 30 to 45 days later. 74 days later, they let us know that he got a 10-year flop, which
Wow.
means a 10-year continuancy,
Yeah.
which is the maximum and ridiculous.
Wow.
The reasoning they gave was, I don't know what they call it. They worded it different, but basically nature of the crime.
Which they took out, but what they
Still
substituted
used.
with is the same thing.
Same thing. Nature of the crime will never change. Nobody's nature of the crime is going to ever change.
But people do change.
But yes, the
and
people
and
do.
I'm not saying everyone changes for the positive, but
Right.
a lot of them change for the better, and they should be home regardless of the crime.
They marked he didn't take enough classes, which he's took over 100. He's gotten his GED. He's got his certificate for welding. He's got his certificate for masonry work. But in their eyes, and then I guess I just talked to somebody that said, you got to be in a certain time limit and they got to accept you into these classes. So that's another that don't make no sense to me. And then the third thing they marked was his go home plan wasn't like they would want it to be. They never came and checked my home. I've never been in trouble with the law. I have no issues at my home. My home is a perfect home for him to come home to. My community's great. He had 15 support letter, over 15. And 2 of them was church pastors saying they would personally take Eddie in their personal vehicle around and help him find a job. And they still said that was not enough.
And is this in Chillicothe?
Yes.
That would probably be one of the better places because there's no place to really get in trouble much there.
Right.
And a lot of it is farmland out there.
I mean, I think it might be different if he even was wanting to go back to Cleveland, but he don't want to go back to Cleveland.
If he
there's nothing for him besides his family's there, but there's nothing to make him, you know, better.
And if he wanted if they said he had to go to a halfway house or something,
he was willing to do it.
I could get him in Columbus.
Yeah, but
easily.
they don't ask that. They don't prep them. They don't ask. I really feel like when they go in there, they antagonize them, so they will look like bad people. I thought the prisons were supposed to rehabilitate, but I feel like if you keep slapping somebody in the face, eventually they're just going to get vicious and quit caring.
And that's true. That's
and
true.
It's going to make them worse rather than better.
But I'm really dumbfounded on why they would give him 10 years after he's been down 30. So that means, and then what's a guarantee?
We expected 2 or 3.
I would have him file that Rhonda Head motion.
He's checking into it right now.
Beverly Seymour said she would get us the forms.
Okay.
It's always better though with an attorney.
Well, we think we might have found an attorney, but I mean, I don't want to say his name or nothing because I'm not 100%. We want to make sure it's right for us.
Right. And you never say attorneys on here because you never know who's watching,
Well, on top of that, there's very few attorneys that'll take a parole flop case. Like they don't want to deal with it. They want the trial, but they don't want to deal with once you're in prison trying to get you out.
And
it's difficult.
The public defenders will represent you for free if you go to the pro board.
Yeah.
They have to, and they do as good of a job as a paid attorney.
Do they? Because that was my question. I didn't know because they work with the courts if they were going to do as good or not.
I think the state public defenders is a lot different. I know Tim Young, the state public defender, and his assistant Elizabeth Brown. And they're great. I don't believe they would treat them any differently than any client. I think they personally would, and I'm not saying that every public defender is good. I've seen some awful ones over the years. But, stuff like what happened to Edward needs a stop.
Yeah. And it's like I've told everybody, there was a life lost, and not one of us don't feel horrible and wish we could turn back time. He has nightmares. Like, he lives with this every day, and he's very remorseful for what he done. We pray for the family. They're always in our prayers. And from what I've heard, they're good Christian people. They changed their lives around too. It destroyed a lot of families, but it's been 30 years. Like, he's 100% rehabilitated, and he just needs a second chance.
Well, when you accept Christ, you go by 1 John 1:9 that says he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness.
Yeah.
And if we can't forgive others, how do you expect God to forgive you? And the healing process really begins when we learn to forgive. And that's any of us. And we're not saying, forgiving somebody makes it okay for somebody to kill or rape. It doesn't, but it's where the healing process begins.
Yeah.
So, Edward's one person that should be home. He's one of thousands.
Many. And that's what I don't know. We'll put up a thing for the petition, but I started a petition, and it's not just for Eddie. It's for everybody. I'm hoping that maybe one day I'll help. Like,
can you get them? Do you know the link offhand?
It's offchange.org. I don't know if you can put my name in. I think you can. It's Jerina Williams. If not, you can look me up on Facebook and add me, and I'll put the link up.
Okay, and when we post this tomorrow, when it's down, if you could post
I
underneath
should be able
this.
on the comments to do it.
And today we spent all morning doing our Christmas cards for those locked up. My fingers are tired from just sitting there and watching. I finally Candace agreed to write my name. When you got 12 letters in your name, you dread that. So Jerina was here. Jerry McMeans was here. He's 86, almost 86 years old. Spent 31 years in prison for a crime he did not commit.
Story.
And Innocence Project helped him get out. And now they're trying to get him exonerated. And we need to really have a group to help people like Jerina's husband or fiance and these other people that aren't getting. When I say group, I meant law firms that would be willing to step in. And I know there's a lot of attorneys on my page. The one I always recommend that is a great attorney and a good friend of mine is Joel Spitzer. He's got an office in Marion and Powell, I think. Very good attorney.
I'll have to get his name. But I think we found one. I'm so confident with this guy. Like, I know they try to sell themselves to you, but he's amazing.
Joel doesn't work really on the parole, but he was going to do a favor for me for a guy that I knew was innocent, Gerald Loomer, several years ago. But Gerald ended up dying of cancer. And what really got me on that one was his sister called me and said, OSU said they should not take him off the feeding tube regardless, breathing tube, and feeding tube. And the CMC said, FMC said, we're going to do it regardless. They did it within hours. He was dead.
That's awful. And that's another thing that really drives me nuts is there's not, every person in prison is not a horrible person. And every one of them is treated like animals.
Right. Some of us did bad things and we admit it. But people can change. Will change. And a life of harassment. When you have other advocates harass you or society, they're not advocates.
Well, that's what part of his parole thing said was he's they're scared to release him in society because whatever. He's menace to society, whatever. But then I told them, well, how do I have 700 signatures from strangers in society telling me release them, like give them a chance? Like people change. It happens. People mature. People grow up. People stop doing the stupid stuff they was doing before.
Yeah. I know kids that got convicted at 17, 16.
Yeah. That
one guy has life without parole. He was convicted at 15, actually. I think they did away with that, though, that life without parole for juveniles. I'm not a big fan of juveniles getting a life sentence as an adult. But that's another story and something else that
Right.
needs to be worked out. You know,
You want me to call his mom?
yes.
Try to get her on the line.
Jerina's going to call Edward's mother.
It's Victoria Brown. You guys will love her. She's literally probably the sweetest person I know.
Well, nobody ever said I was the sweetest person they know.
Oh, sorry, James.
But
oh, I'm calling the wrong person.
she's calling the wrong person. That's called old age.
Hey, I'm getting ready to put you on
But she's
live
younger than
with
me, though.
James. Okay.
What's her name?
Victoria Brown.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, how are you?
Real good. I'm going to let your future daughter-in-law do a lot of talking and interviewing you.
So you're just putting me up to it all?
Candace ain't here, so. Okay.
Hey, Miss B.
Hey, how you doing?
They just kind of want you to tell your version of the story and how it affected you and how you're dealing with this whole parole board.
Well, I'm not
Craziness.
doing that good with the whole parole board because he was 18 when he committed this crime, and he's done 31 years. And, you know, how is they going to expect for him, I thought, to have a second chance if they don't give him a second chance? And he's never had a juvenile record. This was his first crime he ever committed. And it's affected me bad. I have migraines all the time. I have arthritis right now. I can't sleep. I can't think. That for the last 31 years, that's all I've been doing is thinking about the crime. And it's just, I don't understand, why they won't give him a second chance because he's not a bad person.
Yeah. Well, when we do time, our family does time with us.
Exactly.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Every day he does time, you're right. Because I worry about him. I worry about, will he come back home alive or will he be okay in there? So, yes, we're doing time every day. I cry. I can't sleep. I feel like sometimes
She'll get me
that
crying.
is my fault, that it happened.
You're getting your future daughter-in-law crying over here.
Guys, I get emotional. I'm sorry.
But
we just really want him home.
Yes, we just want him home because, he, like I said, if you could talk to him, he's not a bad person. He just made a mistake.
I met your son before.
And it haunts him every day. Every day it haunts him. It's not like he don't think about what he's done. He's remorseful for it.
Right.
Well, and they also paint him out to be a monster. Even now, like 31 years later, and I can tell you, I have a grandson that just turned a year old that he hears Eddie's voice. He's crawling to the phone, grabbing, kissing the phone. I have a son that's 22 that runs in the house and grabs the phone and asks him, because, I'm a single mom. So Eddie is like the dad, even though he's an adult, young adult, he still will talk to Eddie about all his problems. And sometimes I don't know what they talk about because they go outside and have a whole boy powwow. But he's not a monster. He's a family man. Like he just needs a chance to come home.
Why don't both of you actually, because I want to send this to the pro board. Why don't you make a plea to the pro board why they should parole him? I already know why. He's done enough time, and he's changed.
I also don't think he was.
Any other city, any other town, people that have, committed murder has been out in 30 years. Some get out in 20. His co-defender, he had a co-defender. He got out.
He's out
Why
this
did
year.
his co-defender get out when he can't get out?
No.
Did his co-defender get the same amount of time?
Yes, he got 20 years, but they let him out as soon as the 20 years was over.
I think his co-defendant actually got 15 life. He did 20, I think, but I don't know.
Well, I know
and he
he's
was the
out.
main.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? He was.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, we're going to send this to a lot of our supporters. This video, including the pro board. I want you to spend the next 5 minutes pleading with the pro board that they need to pro your son, and the same with you.
Yeah.
We know why you should be pro, but I want to hear it from you guys.
Okay, I would like for them to parole him because he will show you that he's a good person. He will not do anything else wrong. You will not have to worry about him being back in your system. He has 5 kids. He wants to be home with them. He hasn't seen them for 31 years. All he's thinking about is getting out, being a family man, seeing his kids, and trying to be a good person. And just being a good person, he wants to go to work. He wants to give back to the community.
Yeah, he's really big on wanting to
He's got
work with the youth.
He's never seen his grandkids. He's lost his father while he was in there. He lost 2 grandmothers while he was in there. He lost a grandfather. So he knows what loss is. He knows what hurt is. Because he loved those people that he lost.
What is some of the changes you've seen in his life over the years?
I've seen the change in his life. He was already a beautiful person, but now he understands life. He's not mean. He has passion for people. He teaches me. I didn't know anything about the internet. He taught me how to use the internet.
Wow.
He worries about me all the time. He calls me every day, sometimes 2 times a day, just to see am I okay. He calls his brother. You know, he tries to call his kids as often as he can.
Right. Right. So he's done a lot to improve himself and become a better person.
He's taken every class they asked him to take. He's taken classes, and he don't know what more he can do.
Okay, and this is a question for both of you. Has he taken full responsibility for the crime?
Yes,
100%.
Yes, he has.
He pled guilty. He was an 18-year-old kid. They were trying to throw the death penalty at him.
Right.
Well, at least threatened it.
Right.
And he was 18. Of course he's going to, he knows he did it. Like, he has nightmares about
That's
it.
why he's going to be successful. If he gets out, he admitted he committed the crime. You know, so he's taken full responsibility, which means he's going to be very good.
He has.
Good. Yeah.
And he'll even admit to this day, he's a totally different person.
With him telling you, I take responsibility. He took responsibility the day it happened. He turned himself in. They didn't come and get him. He went down and turned himself in. So he had took responsibility that first day that he went to the police station.
Right. Right. Well, it's good to hear.
Knocking on my door, tearing it down for him. He turned his own self in.
Well, it's good to see.
He worked 2 jobs at that time. It wasn't like that. He was 18 and he had 2 jobs when this went down.
Yeah. You know, it's good that he's changed this much because he could be a productive citizen. He can help our youth out. You know, and be a mentor.
Yes. Because he helps me out, so I know he could help the youth out and let them know this is not the place to be. This is not the things to do. You know, you don't get out here and just do things because you have consequences.
Yeah. I was your son's age when I got locked up.
Okay, so you understand what I'm saying, don't you? You were young, and like they say, at 18, they say 18s don't have a brain until they get, 25 years old?
Yeah, and some of us still don't.
Like adults, did I say they have brains? I'm sorry, but they just don't think.
Mature.
At 18, you don't think like I'm 70 years old. You would not think like that at 18.
Right, but you know, it's always a time that we need to mature and grow up, you know, and put our right foot, you know, ahead of us.
And he has, like I said, he has tried to put his foot forward and do the right thing. And you won't see him in there fighting with nobody. You don't see him getting into fights or anything.
Yeah, he stays out the way. And he's taught us all a lot. From prison, it seems like, how can you learn anything from prison? He's taught me patience. He's taught me how to love again. He taught me how to love myself again because I was struggling with that. Like, he's just, I don't know. He builds us up from in there. So imagine what he can do when he's out here.
Now, let me ask you this now.
Well, he's taught me how to be patient too, and, you know, don't worry so much. And like I said,
How did you meet Edward?
I met Edward online on the meetaprisoner.com or something.
They still have that?
They do.
I used to have it, but I had-
We met 2 or 3 years ago, and we were going basically through the same stuff. Like, we were both going through a horrid divorce with horrible people, and we got each other through it. So, yeah.
Well,
I'm
was part
actually
of that.
shocked I
Yeah.
didn't take that serious. Like, it wasn't a serious thing, but then when I met him, I'm like, who are you? Like, what are you doing?
Let me
was
tell
great.
you a story. I had a girlfriend when I first got locked up,
Mhm.
but I ended up with 3 fiancés, and which I shouldn't have been. I never asked them
I
for a penny,
mean,
but
that's the
2 of them
hustle.
showed up the same day, got in a fight, and there they go, handcuffing me, taking me to the hole, and told me I cannot have no more fiancés.
That is
But
hilarious.
it's really hard for us when we get locked up at such a young age because you haven't really lived your life.
Thank
Right.
you.
And
That is true.
And that's another thing is the Department of Corrections, he basically raised himself in there. Now it can go one of 2 ways. You could be a better person, or you're going to have problems.
right.
And you're going to be worse than when you went in. And he's beat the odds. You would never think he's been in prison 30 years. He's amazing. Like, he's not one of those institutionalized or anything like that. He's
No,
just,
he's not. No, he's
a
not.
good
He
guy.
went in there. He was going to show people that he was not going to be institutionalized. He was going to pay for his penalty, as they call it, and he was just going to try to live life like we live it out here. Except for he was behind bars. Like I said, he went to school, college in there when they let him go, and he did what that a person that would do that was out here. You know what I'm saying? He
Right.
did not go in there trying to beat up nobody, give the guards a hard time, or nothing like that.
Right. Well, I think he's got the support team that he needs,
yeah.
and now it is time for him to file for the Rhonda Head case.
Yes.
If
He's checking
possible.
into that now, but
Right.
if you could help us, I'd love that.
I think Beverly would be your best bet on that.
Yeah.
I can give you her phone number.
Okay.
The Rhonda Head case was a lady by the name of Rhonda Head had an attorney that filed a motion. She went to the pro board for her first time, got 10 years.
Mhm.
So she filed a motion, and the pro board said, drop the motion, we'll take you back to the board. They did, and they paroled her.
Yeah.
And
I
she did not have a
into
good
it.
record. She did not have the best record neither.
Right.
But she got paroled. And that should happen to the men too, not just women.
Right.
Right, that is true.
So
And that's what I was telling somebody else. There's people with this same
That had
case
done
he
worse
has.
done worse crimes than he had,
Exactly.
and got out and went
And-
back maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yep, walks the same time they see the first parole board. And I'm like, how does that happen when you got somebody putting in the effort and then you got somebody just sitting, not doing anything, did a worse crime, and okay, bye, they're walking out. That's awful.
And coming back too. That's what makes it so bad. They walk out and come back.
Yeah, because I could,
especially the drug
If
offenders.
they would write out,
going back.
if they would send him home and say, if he messes up, then you go to prison for him, I would sign the paper because he's not going back. It's not going to happen.
And they're still going to have him under his wings because they're going to give him 5 years probation. Did you know that?
Yes.
When he get
Yeah.
out, he won't be
Murder
free. He'll
and
still be with them for
Those doing
5
life
years.
sentences. Yeah, that's for anybody doing life sentences or new law people that got flat time can also get 5 years POC.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you know that you got them on your back for 5 years, my son is the type, he's not going to do nothing. He's not trying. He didn't even want to be in that place in the first place. So you know he's not trying to go back.
Right. Well,
And he's under old law, so it's just a hot mess anyways.
Yeah.
Those laws need redone.
And he was under this old law, the law. He says he's under an old law. Now, what
Yeah.
that means, I really don't
okay.
know.
Well, let me explain to you what that means. In 1995, the legislation passed Senate Bill 2, which was anybody sentenced after, I think it's July or April of 1996, would get flat time unless if they have, like a murder bit or whatever. But for example, I did 25 under the old law. Under the new law, I would have done 8 years flat time.
Okay, I understand right away what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay.
So, the only ones, like I said, that did life under the new law was murder or certain rape cases that got life. And then those under the old law, everybody had to see the parole board.
Okay.
So, but the good thing about the old law is you see the parole board after 2/3 of your sentence at the beginning. And then, of course, you get flapped. So that really did no good. Well, they say continuance. We say flapped.
Yeah. And then when was it when the parole board was under fire for how they was walking in and eating and on their phones?
Last year.
Was it last year? And then it just
Senator
stopped.
Shirley
It's still
Smith.
happening.
Yeah, Senator Shirley Smith left the parole board. She said
Yeah.
because of what they were doing. But then most of the complaints we were getting was on Shirley Smith, on how she treated people. She asked us to back her when she ran for mayor of South Euclid.
Yeah.
We did. She lost. Now she doesn't want to have nothing to do with us or help us fight the parole board. It was like a political thing for her. If she didn't get elected, she was not going to help us.
Wow.
And that's really sad.
Okay, what about Marsha Fudge? She's a
She's
congressman,
the
right?
wrong district.
A
She's
congressperson?
Cleveland district.
Yeah, but that's who your husband would. But she's a congresswoman, I believe. Isn't she
Okay.
Congress?
She's.
I think so.
House of
I think so. She is.
Representatives.
Wait, so let me check. What's her name?
Marsha
Marsha
Fudge.
Fudge.
Yeah, I met her before.
I know. I'm sure. I was gonna say it because she was. I lived in Warrensville at one time, and she was out there, a congresswoman out there.
Yeah, I thought she was Congress. She still is.
Okay.
I think. Let me double check though. Let me
See, I tried to write her, but it said the wrong district because he's seeing Columbus Parole Board.
Okay, now where's my glasses at?
Those I don't know. Is it?
Oh well, I don't really. Oh, here they are, right in front of my face. Let's see now. Marsha Lewis Fudge is an American politician serving in the U.S. Representatives for Ohio 11th Congressional District. She sits in the U.S. government, federal Congress.
Okay.
Yeah, Marsha Fudge.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot actually on her. Stephanie Tubbs Jones, who ended up being a prosecutor, she did.
Okay.
At one time, Nancy Pelosi, who needs a lose. Okay. Of course, we don't pick political parties. We pick candidates.
That is true.
Because that's the only way we're going to win in the long run is if we get rid of the R or the D and look for the people.
Okay.
So, I was not happy with either one of the presidential candidates. Joe Biden was a sponsor of the crime bill in Ohio that's keeping people like your son locked up.
See, but I thought his daughter was for the prison reform.
No, that was
he lost a son, and I thought
Yeah.
his daughter picked that up.
the one that
You would think he
Yeah,
would support
the
his
one that
children.
supported it more than anything was
The
our
son
current
that got-
president.
Okay.
He did the what is that that federal prison reform,
Mhm.
and his son wanted to reform the whole prison system nationwide.
Okay.
But it's too early to say what will be done or if anything's going to be done because there's so many promises, but nobody following through with them.
Right.
Okay.
But we're here for you. We're here for your son, and something. I believe in the power of prayer, so I believe something good's going to happen.
I hope so. I pray every night.
That's the
I
only thing that's
just
going to make a
wish
difference.
somebody would investigate it and see if they even properly looked at what he's done good. Because I don't feel like anything was looked at. I don't think they even read our letters. I don't think they looked up his classes.
Contact Teresa Edwards in Franklin County. She's a private investigator, one of the best.
Okay.
Of course, she doesn't do things for free, but she's good.
Right.
And the sad thing is, the average person does not have $50,000 to $100,000 to pay for a good attorney to win it.
Oh, right.
If he had that kind of money, he would not be locked up.
Well, and there's a lot of people that are in Eddie's situation that don't even have family to support him or her.
Right.
Like, and they're just railroading them left and right. And there's nothing they're going to do because they don't have a voice.
Well,
and that needs to change too.
I would like to have you both on again sometime. And I would really like the next segment to be on the difficulties of being a spouse and a mother of somebody that's locked up. Everything you guys go through. We need to let people know that you guys go through the exact thing that your loved one does.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, and there's also people out there that think because they're in prison, that, they did something bad, and
they automatically
it's not
assume.
a real relationship, and and the parents forgot about them. It's not like that.
I used to
It's not what you see on TV.
No, it's not.
This is
No.
real life. Me and his mom are just we're realists. We're not going to make stories up. You get the raw version of it.
Right.
No, I never made up a story. Even when the crime happened, I didn't try to say no, he didn't do it. I didn't try to say I don't want to talk about it. No, I'll talk about it. Okay, I'll tell you what what you want to know. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
But that's what we really appreciate. But we're going to cut this off because we're going on.
I'll call you back here in a little bit.
Almost 40 minutes.
Miss me, I'll call you in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay. What would you like to say for the closing?
I don't know. I think we touched base. I hope everybody can. I'm going to add the link to my petition. If you guys could sign and share, I would love that. And it's not just the petition ain't just for
That's
Eddie,
on the
it's
pro
for
board, right?
everybody. It's the pro board.
Okay, and we're going to contact somebody from Epic so you could talk to my friend
Yes,
Terry.
I will love that.
And
I appreciate everybody that's watched and supporting us.
okay, everybody. Until next time, which is tonight at 6 o'clock, it's Mike Bailey. We'll see you then.
You're a mess.